Hi everyone, welcome to Magic Cube. We are getting started with step 1, which is taping hinges. So you're going to make 4 hinges, and the first step is to cut a piece of your duct tape about the width of a little bit more than the width of 2 blocks together. Then you are going to push 2 blocks together with your ring fingers and squish the duct tape on top. Make sure you push it down as much as you can. Then you're gonna pick it up, flip it over, and you're gonna trim your duct tape. You always wanna trim your duct tape sticky side up. I find that when I don't trim my duct tape sticky side up, I can't trim the duct tape exactly to the edge. It warps and pulls for some strange reason. And you really want to be cutting your duct tape exactly to the edge. There's the first hinge done. Now I'm going to get started on the second hinge. When you don't trim all the way to the edge, what ends up happening is that your cube will stick in places where you don't want it to stick when you're playing with it later. So as you can see, I've tried to put the machine cut edge to the edge of the 2 blocks, and then I'm going to trim the excess again. And this is my second hinge. We have to make 4 hinges total in the first step. And then again, I've trimmed it all the way to the edge. And then if you cut a little bit of your block when you trim it to the edge, that's okay. In the long run, you will be happier. So there I am, straightening my 2 blocks. Going to the edge, push it down. See, I didn't do it there as well as I should have. And then trimming again. So now you guys can just watch me do the last one. And then move on to step 2. So this is step 2, connect 2 sets. Pushing the blocks together right now to show you how I'm going to connect them. I'm going to flip it on its side and make a line where I plan on taping the 2 blocks together. So it's those 2 blocks in the center that will be taped together on the outside. I'm using a Sharpie to make a line for where to put the tape so that I don't forget. When you guys do this, I would suggest that you use pencil instead of Sharpie. On some of the solid and lighter colors of duct tape, a Sharpie line will show through after you put the duct tape on, but a pencil line will not. So now I'm using a scrap piece that I created by accident when I was setting everything up because I don't want to be wasteful. But when you guys do this, I'm going to suggest that you do it the same way we did it in the last step, which is that you measure a small piece that's about a little bit larger than the size of the 2 blocks you want to stick together. Push it on and then flip it over and trim it off. I find the long strips of duct tape really hard to work with. So just like before, you're gonna flip it over, trim on the sticky side, and then when you trim on the sticky side, you are going to go as close to the edge as you possibly can So your duct tape might make your scissors sticky as you keep doing this. If you feel like your scissors are getting super sticky, what you can do is you can go get some Goo Gone and use your Goo Gone to wipe down the scissors where you've been cutting the duct tape. So now my first hinge is done, my first connection is done, and I'm going to connect the second set. I'm going to use like I said, I'm going to previously put a machine edge to the top of the blocks. That way there's one side that you do not have to trim. I'm going to use those ring fingers to push the blocks together, and then your thumb and your pointer to stick the tape, to hold the tape while you put it on. And then you're going to flip it over and you're going to trim on the sticky side again. So this is step 3, connect the ends. Now I'm going to push the 2 blocks together with the pieces that I taped in step 2 on the outside, and I'm going to flip the ends up. I'm going to make a straight line on one side and a curved line on the other. That's just so that I don't get confused about which blocks are supposed to be attached. Just like in other steps, I'm going to flip that side down to make it easier. I'm going to bring the machine edge of the duct tape to the end of the 2 cubes so that I only have to trim on 3 sides. I'm going to push the 2 blocks together and stick the tape on, and then flip it over and trim. I didn't use that same system or method that I've been using with pushing the blocks together with my ring finger and then using my pointer and my thumb to stick the tape on. And as you can see, this connection seems to be a lot weaker. So now I'm going to trim the pieces off. See, the duct tape's coming up right there. I shouldn't have done that if I had pushed it down hard enough. So now I'm going to do my best to push the duct tape on a little bit better, like I should have before I started trimming. And then I am going to connect the other 2 ends of the block where my wiggling line is. I'm going to push down that piece that I just connected, bring the machine edge to the edge of the blocks so that I only have to trim on 3 sides. A little bit of a struggle there. And then I'm going to push them together with my ring fingers and then use my thumb and my pointer to stick the duct tape on. I'm going to flip it over and trim it sticky side up, just like I did all the other times, as close to the edge as I can. I'll just take that off. And once I have trimmed off all of my excess, you will see that, oops, there's that one little piece that won't come off. There we go. So once I've smoothed everything down and I feel good about it, and I trimmed all my excess pieces, you will see that this is actually, oops, one more piece to trim. So the magic cube is actually done. now it will do the things that it is supposed to do. So technically you could stop here, but if you stop here, as you can see, it's a little bit fragile. So in the next step, we're going to reinforce the seams. So now we are on step 4 and we are going to reinforce the seams. So you're going to pick up your cube and you're going to look for the places where you see duct tape between the two cubes. I brought it closer to the camera so hopefully you can see. And you'll put a line with your pencil or marker on each of those. There are 8 seams total, but I wandered off camera, so I did cut finding the other 4 seams out, but I'm pretty sure you guys can find them. So I'm going to do 2 of these seams because I don't think you want to sit here and watch me cover all 8 seams. Just like all the other times, push the 2 cubes together, bring your machine cut edge to the edge of the cube, so you only have to trim on 3 sides. And push the tape down, flip it over, and trim. Oops. So much for my machine edge to the edge of the cube. Alright, so now I'm going to trim, just like all the other times, we're going to do it sticky side up. And once that's done, this hinge will be reinforced. Now I'm going to do a second hinge just so you can see it again. Oh, no, I'm going to stop and trim this, actually. You know, as you're working, look for places where you maybe haven't trimmed as well and fix them. Because as I've mentioned in the first step, if you have tape sticking over the edge like that, your cube will stick in places where you don't want it to stick, and it will not move as smoothly. Oh, there's a piece. You can also try folding it over the edge, but I find that just doesn't work as well as I want it to. So now let me show you one more time how to reinforce the seam. And then I'm going to do the other 6, not 6. Yes, the other 6 off of camera. So I'm going to trim, cut a piece of duct tape off, a little bit wider, except I didn't do a good job and it's crooked. Oops. I'm going to bring the machine edge to the edge of the cubes, push the cubes together with my ring finger, and I'm going to stick the duct tape on. Once you have reinforced all of these seams, we will be on the last step. Trim that last edge, and now I'm going to reinforce the rest of them off camera. All right? So now we are on the last step, step 5, and your magic cube is basically done. You can, however, cover these last remaining sides with duct tape, which is what I'm starting to do now. I would do it one side at a time, match it up to a corner. Oopsie, and it didn't cut right when I didn't flip it over and cut sticky side up. And then trim just like you did before. You could just leave these sides uncovered, but I feel like the light colored wood would eventually get grimy. So I don't remember how many empty sides there are right now. But I'm gonna cover 2 of them now, and then I'm gonna do the rest of them off camera because it's basically the same thing over and over again. You know, cover up to the corner, flip it over, trim all the way to the edge. It's really tempting to try and wrap duct tape around the 2 sides because you'll find a lot of the empty sides are next to another remaining side, but honestly it is so much harder to trim that way that I'm not totally sure that it is worth it. Oh, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I've covered all of my remaining sides. Most of you were given at least one solid colored piece of duct tape. You can use your permanent marker to draw on that if you'd like, but honestly at this point, if you want, you are done. So here is your magic cube, and I hope you enjoy playing with it.